Hello, hello, and thank you so much for joining us today in our fourth part to this wonderful webinar series called Uncovering OpEx Waste. As you may know, my name is Hunter Gorman. I'm one of the directors of our maintenance division here at OneCall. And as you hopefully all know, in addition to maintenance through OneCall, Pivot here, we offer a wide range of services and hardware globally. So if there's anything that you need on those fronts, do not hesitate to let us know. Today, though, we're going to be focusing on OneCall, which is our third-party maintenance offering. I've had the same co-host on every one of these webinars, but I still get so excited to introduce her each and every time. My counterpart for today's webinar is Erin, our Vice President of Sales here at Pivot. She is an absolute master when it comes to providing solutions and options to our customers that ultimately reduce that OpEx waste and promote efficiency within that estate. So I couldn't be more thrilled to introduce her for a final time in this series. Erin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Hunter. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Like I was briefly mentioning, today our hope is really to tie everything together, put a nice bow on the reduction and the uncovering of OpEx waste that we feel like maintenance through OneCall can do for our customers. Erin, as you're making your maintenance provider evaluations, one of the start questions to ask is, what is your Net Promoter Score? Right? For those unfamiliar, that's the silly question that you get sometimes on surveys, which is how likely would you be to recommend your friends to OneCall or whatever it is you're being surveyed on. Here at Pivot, we have a 95% Net Promoter Score, which is pretty unheard of. But that is a direct measurement of how happy customers are with the services that they've been provided. And I'm happily going to boast our 95% NPS here at OneCall. Erin, I know you've definitely employed that tactic before in helping some of your other customers evaluate maintainers.
Absolutely. I mean, our goal here at Pivot is to create raving fans, right? We want high client success. We want to be successful. We want to deliver the service. I think that also speaks to our high renewal rate. Once we have clients on OneCall, tendency is for renewal. Again, we want our clients to speak volumes about the service that they're receiving, and we want to see the success all the way around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like we've said many times on this series, maintenance is inherently complex. And really, our goal is to simplify it. Our goal is to make it as easy and as simple as possible to uncover that OpEx waste, to get you the service that you're after, making sure there's no lapse in your current strategy versus the new strategy that you're employing. Given the complexity, if there are any questions that maybe we're not hitting directly, if you've got questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat. We'll take those at the end of the webinar. But really, our content for today is three major buckets, and they're pretty painless. So, Erin, why don't we get right into those? One thing that we highlighted throughout this webinar series is our Sparing Integrity program. Now, I want to bring this up again because now that we're really getting into the mechanics of third-party maintenance, the inside baseball of what makes a good third-party maintainer, we believe that good service delivery starts with sparing integrity. Do you want to just kind of speak to the relationship there?
Absolutely. What that means is that we have a dedicated spare to meet the SLA for any piece of hardware that you might have go down. And where and when that really starts is not only in the quoting phase, but the onboarding phase. So as we bring your contract online, we want to get component level detail. We might request some outputs. We make it very simple, but what we're trying to do is really understand, especially in your chassis-based systems, what's inside, right? So we want to know modules. We want to know power supplies. We want to know even license revisions to ensure that if you're running, say, like enterprise software on your ASR, that we've got that specific ASR dedicated for you in the local depot. So it really starts with onboarding, and it really is trying to get as much information as we can from you about your environment to ensure there's not going to be an issue meeting the SLA. If your device goes down, we're going to have that to you in 4 hours. And so it really starts, like I said, in the onboarding process.
Absolutely. And I think the second half to that the sparing integrity piece, obviously it's the spare, but it's also the network of depots. It's the install site to match your install base, right? If you've got 8 sites in Canada, which is a very geographically, spread out country, just because your third party maintainer that you're evaluating says they have sites in Canada, you want to make sure that their network of depots matches your network of install site, your network of your estate. And ask for drive time, ask for details like that. Those are things that we provide as standard, as part of our quotes, but those details really do matter. The other thing that we do here at Pivot that I think is fairly unique is, as you can see on your screen there, right? You're seeing a screenshot of OneHub, our maintenance tool. But when we associate your actual device to a spare in our field, we're not just asking you to take our word for it. We're showing you the serial number level detail of that asset. We're showing you the actual address where it physically sits. And we're showing you any time that changes, you see that revision right there on your portal. So you can rest assured that if and when a ticket comes in on any given device, not only are we going to tell you we've got it, but you can fact check us here. You can come and make sure that we've actually done what we said we were going to do. And I promise you, we do it each and every time. So we think that those are very critical pieces to sparing integrity that actually lead to really great service delivery. And in our mind, you can't have one without the other. Erin, I in thinking about this, I'm reminded of the example in Brazil of one of your customers. I believe it was an ASR. Do you want to share that story really quickly?
Yeah, it was actually a prospect that came to us because their third-party maintenance provider had not done the appropriate onboarding, and they had an ASR go down in Brazil, and they sent a replacement, and it didn't have the enterprise license revision on it. So they were dead in the water. Came to us scrambling, and we were able to send out the appropriate ASR, get it in country, get it delivered within 5 days. And their TPM provider had actually said there's nothing we can do for you, that we're not going to send another replacement. So they didn't appropriately onboard, they didn't have the correct spare, and we were able to come through. But that's why the sparing is really what is the most critical piece of all of this. I mean, an SLA can mean nothing if you're getting a replacement that either doesn't work or isn't the right part. So ensuring that we also have good working product, and the way that we cycle count, and the way that we cycle test all of our sparing network to ensure that what we have on the shelf is working. I mean, I know that kind of might sound crazy, but a lot TPM providers don't do that. They might just send out a spare and have it sit on the shelf, and they don't go through and methodically rework and retest the replacement devices. So it's something we take very seriously here. And again, I think it speaks to our renewal rates and keeping people happy.
Absolutely. Not to take too much of a step back, but I think one thing that was really kind of breezed past there is that example happened in Brazil. So not only were we able to provide that spare, we were able to get it in country in almost no time at all, which, if you know anything about international logistics, Brazil's a pretty tricky country. And Erin, I think that really speaks to the way that we approach not only maintenance, but really everything we do here at Pivot, which is, the entire team who handles international logistics here at Pivot. Our service delivery folks in every region of the world by name. And it's not just a knowing of them, it's a collaboration, right? There's a reason you know their name. It's because you work with them every day on almost every deal. And I think that is really kind of another thing that you should look for in a third-party maintainer is, like what we like to say is we're small enough to be boutique, but large enough to be global. And that internal collaboration that we have, right? The fact that you, as our vice president of sales, knows our regional service delivery managers and our international logistics teams, those folks by name, it really does allow us to take a whole life cycle look at an estate and not only address acute issues, but really help craft a strategy for the entirety of your IT estate. You want to just kind of share some of your experience on how you've seen that benefit your customers?
Absolutely. You know, Pivot's sales structure is very different from other TPM and hardware providers. So you have one dedicated sales team here that is not only quoting, but helping with onboarding and then through all the way and liaising with service delivery. So, there might be other TPM providers or secondary market hardware companies where everything is siloed. So there's a quoting desk that's not speaking to the sales team, that's not really talking to service delivery, and then another group that's handling hardware fulfillment. So there's so much inefficiency when you're not speaking to the same group, and that same group has eyes on every aspect of your business. There's in a time where I had, a client come to me that was looking to offload and sell some equipment within the same company, there was another group that was looking to procure it. So what we do here at Pivot and having eyes on everything, we connect right hand to left hand and help really drive more efficiency for your organization.
Absolutely. I'm also reminded, about a deal that I recently helped work on. But we had a customer come to us with 18,000 servers deployed all over North America. They were looking for maintenance on these servers. And, I think most companies, like to your point, right, the quoting team would have just thrown some pricing together, sent it back, and all good. Instead, because we take such a collaborative approach to everything we do, we were able to actually take a really fine look at that estate. Notice that they had, a couple thousand Gen 1, Gen 2 servers still deployed. I mean, these are old servers, and that raised some red flags. So our technical team was able to jump into that mix. Our sales team was able to jump into that mix, and our OneCall team was able to jump into the mix. And instead of just sending back a price for a maintenance contract, we were able to present them a solution that not only addressed the acute need of maintenance, but also, included some upgrades to those Gen 1, Gen 2 servers. The feedback we got was that we were the first provider to suggest anything other than just a maintenance contract. And, we ended up winning the business because we're willing to slow down, take the extra, a couple of minutes to actually evaluate what it is we're doing, collaborate a little here internally, and then really turn around and offer a great solution to our customers.
Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of creativity that we bring and out of the box thinking, that where we can really lead with our expertise and give, what it might be a lower cost solution by just kind of putting our eyes on something and making the suggestions that we do for clients every day.
Absolutely. Though I think the last thing, and if you've got anything else, please feel free to jump in. But the last thing that I feel like is very worth highlighting is the ultimate piece of transparency, right? Without that kind of closed feedback loop, right? Without the right hand talking to the left, without the customer being as informed as the provider, and vice versa, there can be a lot of inefficiencies that may not seem very impactful, but really over the long arc of a maintenance contract or of an IT estate, they can be very, very significant. And so one thing that we like to do, we've talked a lot on this webinar series about the way that our SLAs are structured. Our SLAs here at Pivot are structured from incident resolution to hardware in hand. Not we'll call you back in 4 hours, not we'll, whatever. But that's a key element. You can see here on your screen, my team's literally pulled up the ticket form. If you scroll down a little bit, I think it's the fifth or sixth question we asked right there. How would you like this incident to be resolved? We're asking you, the customer, up front how you want that to be resolved. That is resolution identification. So when you click submit on that ticket, our SLA timer begins, right? You're expected to have hardware in hand within the agreed upon SLA as soon as you click that submit button, because you, the customer, have identified resolution. Now, if you don't know the resolution, that's fine. We'll jump in and do that for you. But these are little distinguishing factors that really do make OneCall stand out. And to kind of put our money where our mouth is, within OneHub, we show you all of the information that we have on your ticket, including submitted time and time the resolution was identified, all the way to hardware, delivered. And if we're not hitting our SLAs, if we're not doing what we promise you, contractually promised you that we were going to do. We want you to hold us accountable, and we're going to arm you with the information to do just that. Erin, I think that on-demand reporting, quarterly and monthly business reviews, all of these things that we do are in an effort to drive that efficiency by transparency, by way of transparency. Yeah, do you want to talk about some of that cohesion that your customers have benefited from directly?
Yeah, I mean, there's some clients that I sit down with once a month actually and do a monthly service review. It's up to the client what they want and what they need. But again, if there was ever a moment where we might have fallen short on a ticket, whatever it might be, we can work through it and put together a root cause analysis and have like a go forward strategy. Oftentimes, what we find when we review tickets together is that maybe if there's an MSP that's actually manning the front line and they're the ones opening tickets, there can also be a lot of information to glean about how they're doing, holding them accountable. And then even internally, right? If there's some engineers that might be falling short or whatever it might be, it's just a chance for us to all come together, have, as you said, that transparency, that visibility, go through ticket by ticket, look at time to resolution, and work through it. It might be that there's certain sites that are having an uptick in tickets and we're starting to see a pattern. Might be certain devices that are showing a higher failure rate. And so it might be that we illuminate that data for the client. They might want to replace certain devices sooner because they're starting to see those failures. And we all talk about it really cohesively as a team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've got a couple of your customers in my mind that we do this regularly with. And it is wild the things that come out of the woodwork when you are armed with that information as well. The collaboration that we can have as vendor and as customer, that is really, really fruitful. I think oftentimes there's little tactics that TPMs use, like downgrading ticket severity, right? You saw it on the ticket form. We ask you, what severity is this? If you've dealt with an OEM or any other TPMs, you know that those things get downgraded as they learn more about the ticket. That's not something we do here at Pivot. If you say something's priority one, it's priority one. And we're not gonna falter on that until the incident is resolved. There's those little distinguishing factors that I think go back to the things that we've been talking about all the way through this webinar: sparing integrity, a single pane of glass, giving you that transparency, the internal collaboration that we here at Pivot have, the ability to act globally, but also be small enough to give you that boutique, personalized approach. Ultimately, everything that we're doing is in an effort to help you, the customer, succeed. And obviously, the title of this webinar, Uncovering OpEx Waste, that's really our goal in helping you to succeed, save some money, get a grade A service, and then we all win ultimately. So, Erin, yeah, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, as much as we can support our clients in being proactive and moving out of a reactive space,
Mm.
again, it just brings more visibility, transparency, efficiency, all of that. So, really, our goal is to tee our clients up for success and just, as I said, be as proactive as possible.
Absolutely. Well said. And on behalf of the entire OneCall and the entire Pivot team, we thank you guys for joining us today. If there's any questions at all, or you're ready to see what it's like to succeed with third-party maintenance, please reach out, let us know, and we cannot wait to earn your business.